Welcome back. Now time for us to talk about the state of the economy as regards to political matters, because we get a cadred person in the House, him now the special advisor to the president on political matters. Join me, welcome Babafemi Ojodu inside the Good Morning Nigeria studio.
Good morning.
Good
I can
morning.
see that Christmas is already in the air here.
Yes, so everywhere in the studio.
Good morning.
All right, so very quickly, make we just hit them head on, because you know, say in the recent times, we don't hear of one of the ones where they trend across Nigeria, across Africa, and even to Europe, of course, and it's the slave trade where we know say be shele. We all of us suddenly discover for inside Libya. We know say get a lot of political implications on our country, on our economy, and even on our leader as a whole. How you feel say, how did we get to that level in the first place?
For people from Nigeria to go Libya to go
illegally.
The thing don't go on for quite a long time. It's not a new thing, you know. I mean, I've had people. I know people as far back as 20 years ago. I've gone through this Sahara Desert, move on to Libya, and then from there to try to go to Europe. So it's not today. I think it's a lot of people see Europe as the place to be. You know, they think that it's an Eldorado, it's heaven on earth, and they're ready to take risks. You know, some parents even sell their homes to send their children to go to Europe. But unfortunately, it is not as rosy as they think, because of our economic problem, the recession that we had in recent time. You know, that has exacerbated the situation, and many people are still looking for opportunity elsewhere. But the opportunity they're looking for me, is not there. That opportunity is here if we are ready to look, very deeply at it. I do not see. You pay so much money to go to Europe, you take all of those risks. The chances of you getting to Europe alive is just about 35%. And you get there, before you can, settle down properly, as I will say in Europe, you spend another 10, 15 years. So why don't you stay here and do things that can earn you good income or earn you a living and then grow? The idea of, I want to become a millionaire within a short period of time, not waiting, to do something that will be productive. It's a bane of our society. And where parents and relations encourage people, even to the point of selling their homes and selling their property to go to Europe, becomes a problem for me. I was once locked up by General Sani Abacha, and I was in a solitary confinement. One night, they brought one boy, a Benin boy, to my cell, and several, almost 30 women that were repatriated, on their way to Libya, and the boy came in to my cell. The women were taken to somewhere else, and I said, what was the problem? He said, boss, now guess I they carry go Europe. Now they take make money. I said, that kind of dangerous thing. You are looking for trouble. I said, my mama tell me, say, if I no find trouble, trouble go find me. That's why they go find trouble, so that trouble no go find me. I said, what kind of a mother will tell the son that if you no find trouble, trouble go find you? So you can see the mentality, of a mom. You say, look, go, I'm supporting you. And I started engaging him, how the mother was the one in charge of looking for money, then looking for juju to ensure that the trip, comes on very, very positive or successful and all this kind of thing. So we have a problem about aspiration, about, what we want to be that is not well defined. And I think our educational system needs to be looked at. And you can live a good life here if you're ready to work very hard, seize the opportunities that are available here. If you are not looking for, sudden money, big money, and how many people are millionaires in those places where you are going to?
Now, I know one of the major reasons why you were actually locked up for 8 months or thereabouts. 9 months. Now, because you be there against the then administration.
Yes, I was conversing for human rights, for
very true.
Civil governance and good government, anti-corruption and those things. Yeah.
Now, looking at what they happen in the political atmosphere right now in Nigeria, a lot of people actually they against the present government. Now, let's take, for example, the forest scarcity. Now, I know the federal government don't come aside orders, say, before the end of this week.
There's no forest scarcity.
Say May 4. Because even as they don't mention, say, May 4 a day for filling station, a lot of major marketers and even independent marketers, they are shut down.
Yeah, because it's again because of greed. Sometimes, most often, we complain about leadership. We also have to look at the role of followership in these matters, because the end of the year is coming. A lot of people, we travel, there is hustle and bustle everywhere. People are going on to shop, The fuel attendant, the boss, the marketers, they think this is a good time to cut some deals. So they circulate rumors of, fuel price increase where there is none, and then people are panicking and they, want to quickly go and buy and keep and all of, just because you want to make profit. You're not considering the danger of it to your fellow human beings. Some will buy fuel, go and keep in the house. There will be fire. People will lose their lives. People will spend days on the queue, trying to buy fuel and all those kind of things. And they were stocked. The fuel that is not available to get on, at the serving point will be available to some boys in jerry cans, selling at almost 3-4 times the price. That, for me, is not the problem of leadership. That is the problem of followership. So, when people look at the problem facing Nigeria, both the leadership and the followership are guilty.
So how do we handle this case of the followership? Because reading the papers, we say this artificial scarcity is caused by some cabals. So how do we handle?
Of course, we have to educate the people. But you don't need to go and, the fuel is available. Both the one that has come in, Benin, and the one that is still on his way to Nigeria. There is nothing like fuel scarcity. There is nothing like, increase in price and whatever it is. So we need to educate Nigerians. We need to inform them. Don't go and act based on rumor. Don't go and panic unnecessarily. Just allow things to go seamlessly as it has been going since this government, came to power. So
okay, now make we even look the issue of workers in Nigeria,
yes.
workers across the states, because you get some states where they owe workers' salary as high as 12, 24 months. And it's an irony because even as the states, they owe their workers' salary, the governors in the state are not being owed their salary as well. Now, in fact, the president come outside, make statements, say, by December, make all the governors come outside, pay the workers their salary. And the next day, we see them inside the papers. Say some of them, they talk, say, we no fit to pay, we cannot afford it. In fact, some are waiting for the Paris Club refund to actually pay the workers their salary. But their own allowances, their own stipends, their own basic salary, it doesn't come a day later than the expected date.
It's so unfortunate, and that, states are not able to pay salary, and you still find quite a good number of governors living in luxury. It is not the responsibility of the federal government to pay salaries in the states. It is the responsibility of the governors to pay the salaries of their workers. And for more than 1 year now, the government at the federal level has been giving out on a monthly basis what it calls bailout to assist you to pay salaries. It's not its responsibility. But because all of us, all of you, whenever something goes wrong in society, you don't even blame your governor. You blame the president of Nigeria. So the president found it incumbent upon it to assist. And the president is particularly right that people can live with their conscience and have people not paid salaries for 8, 9 months, 12 months in some cases. And yet, you've never heard that the governor cannot eat, cannot move out. Many are buying new SUVs. They are traveling abroad. They are enjoying good life. And I do not even believe that this money is not there. It's just that they are not getting their priority right. There was the first Paris Club refund. There was the second one. Now we are talking about the third one. What do you do with those funds if you can't pay the salary? I was challenging the one in my state. You are building a bridge that is unnecessary and a flyover in a state where there is no traffic problem. Between one end of the town to the other end, you can traverse it in 20 minutes. And you are building a bridge worth 15 billion. And salaries of workers have not been paid for 8 months. I said, look at your conscience. Is that the right thing to do?
But sir, I would like to comment because now if you they give me money to do something and I don't do the thing we are supposed to do, you suppose ask me question. You suppose call me to table say, okay, what happened to the money where they give you specifically for the project?
The federal government is not the policeman of the states.
So who was
it is the civil society. If I'm a worker in a particular state where we are not paid, we should do some kind of action. Civil society should rise up. People themselves should ask questions. But it is the people themselves who are not paid that will stand by the roadside and be hailing the governors and be condemning Buhari, who is assisting where he's not supposed to do so. We're in the federal arrangement. The federal government is not supposed to pay salary of state workers. But every month, the federal government looks for money to give them bailout fund and several other funds, ecology fund, all manners of funds. What do you use this money for? But unfortunately, members of our society are not alert enough to say we are demanding for our rights. We are demanding for accountability. We are demanding for transparency. They are not doing so. So if now the federal government begins to wield the big stick, begin to say, look, we are going to arrest this, arrest that, all of you will be shouting.
I think the problem is the problem is say people feel that when they talk, nothing is being done about them. Let's take, for example, the end SARS. Everybody they come outside talk say we need to end and scrap
yeah, go ahead.
And scrap SARS, but now we're hearing that it will be reorganized. And people are still saying, no, we want it to be scrapped.
Well, before the campaign ends SARS, nobody told you about reorganizing. Now, because you came out as civil society and begin to engage the government, demanding for end SARS, at least there is a shift. We are going to reorganize. Before SARS was set up, there must have been a need for setting up SARS. If then it has deviated from what it's supposed to do, then there is a need for reorganization. So I was excited when the IG came out to say that, yes, thank you for this campaign. We recognize it. We are going to reorganize. So if there is a need for it, for its existence in the first place, and now you are reorganizing it, for me, it is still okay.
But if the people, they come outside, they talk, say, now we will be asked for them.
Yes.
But now we talk, say, we don't want them again. And now
I'm saying that if you say, okay,
say they want to reorganize
if you say we now want to end SARS, what is end SARS? Special anti-robbery squad. So if you take SARS away completely, and then people started being robbed, then have we solved any problem? What we are saying is that if an agency of government is not working the way it should work, there is a need to put an attention on it and reorganize and ensure that it keeps to the rules of engagement and ensure that people are not unnecessarily are not at all oppressed, people are not killed, wantonly and all of that. So for me, ending it may not be the solution, but getting it to work the way it should work. And anybody who goes against, the rules of engagement is disciplined and shown as an example, to others who are in the force.
All right, so another one we need to look at on top state of the nation is the fact that the money where they talk say they don't that was looted out not during this administration, previous past administration, where the international organization talks say we will give you this money, but on the condition say una go bring a script, a paperwork, realistic paperwork of how una go judiciously use this our money, not their money, our money.
Yes, yes.
They tell us how we go take use them. Now looking at it from an international angle, some people don't come outside talk say it be like saying a slap on the face because now we understand say people thief the money come out, but now for you to give us back, now they give us terms and conditions.
Yes, me, I personally am not against that. This money was stolen and taken to those countries. It is that, it is the government of those countries could say, okay, we are not returning your money. But they are now saying that if we are going to return it, it must be used to the benefit of the people. Then why should we be against that? If that is the condition, do infrastructure, invest in education, invest it in the health of the people and all of that. Invest it in the future of Nigerians. For me, it's a good one. So if it's okay, with so amount of money has been found to have been taken to our country by thieves in your country. Okay, we are giving it to you. If it comes back and lands in the hand of another thief, who will not thief them and go keep them for Nigeria, and not go use them for. So if we are saying, we want to monitor how you spend this money, because ordinarily, no law says they should return those money, but they want to return it because they found that there is a need for it back in Nigeria than in their countries. And I'm not saying, please spend it in this way and in that way.
Okay, sir. Speaking of spending of money and the amount of money we spend for inside Nigeria, some people they of the opinion say the cost of governance in Nigeria, as we speak, is something of concern because if we talk, so we don't get enough money to fund our budget. If we have to borrow in some cases to fund the budget, and we have to carry over our 2017 budget, part of it, into 2018, then the cost of governance, what's your opinion on top of that?
Well, if you talk about borrowing to fund budget, there is something called the capital part of budget, and there is the recurrent. Recurrent is the salary we pay everybody the papers we use, the day-to-day running, that one, well, if you begin to borrow to do recurrent, it becomes an issue. But if you borrow to do a rail line from Lagos to Kano, if you borrow to do a rail line from Lagos to Calabar, do a rail line to do Second Niger Bridge, and several other, landmark projects like that, there is nothing wrong in it. There is nothing wrong. Because if you don't borrow to do it today, if the cost of, constructing that rail line today is $5 billion, and you tarry for another 5-10 years, when it could probably be about $10 billion, $15 billion, you may not even have the capacity to do it.
So you also believe, selling
yes.
of our national assets to fund the budget?
Oh, it has been done. It has been done in places all over the world, particularly if you are not spending the money on recurrent, if you are spending it on capital, on projects that will be of benefit to the generality of Nigerians, that will spur economic growth and development. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. Particularly, in a situation where those, national whatever, are not even of benefit to Nigerians for the first place. Let me give you an example. I was talking to somebody. When Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power in 1999, the Eco Hotel, was, a kind of, was sold to a private investor. And the government had to go to court to go and challenge that. No, it's this property belongs to Lagos State government. We won't allow that. And they were in court. Suddenly, the place was turned around by a private investor, and they were paying huge dividends for the percentage owned by government to the government, and they were paying taxes, heavy taxes to the government. And come to look at it, they look at the book. In the past years, nothing had come to government from this investment. And believe me, they had no option than to withdraw the suit and allow the private investors to continue to run the place. Today, it's a huge cash cow for Lagos State government. So if you have investments that are not of benefit to people, that are just investment in name, why don't you find a way of leveraging on it, to get money, to do things that will be of benefit to Nigerians, there are properties in Lagos here, for example, that belong to the federal government that are just dilapidating there. Sometimes I drove past the federal secretariat, the old federal secretariat, look at those giant buildings, solid buildings. For almost 20 years now, those buildings have not been put into use. They're just lying fallow there. It's a waste, waste assets. Why can't we find something to do about it, and then, get a lot of money out of it to do some other things that will be of use to Nigerians? There are government buildings on Broad Street where you see files, papers flying out the window. Why are we still keeping those things and we are not, either we sell them or ask developers to develop them, provide accommodation for people and offices, and then we recover substantial money to carry on some other projects. But when you talk about national assets, Nigerians are very emotional about it. They want to sell our future. They want to sell this. We need to go beyond that and face reality.
So what about insecurity inside Rehoboth, Nigeria? Because now kidnapping don't go from just kidnapping the poor or kidnapping the rich.
Right.
So even kidnapping senators, we read them now for inside because senators are being kidnapped.
Yeah.
Waiting the federal government to do about insecurity in
our
country.
Again, it's about rejiggling our security system. It's a very worrisome one to President Buhari. Every day he keeps talking about it, challenging the Special Director of Police and all agencies of government on the need to, do more effective policing. But at the end of the day, the government has come to the conclusion that what we need, urgently is community policing. That the idea of policing the entire country from Abuja may not work. I just came back from Numan in Adamawa, where policemen were taken from some states to go and quell a communal crisis in Numan. And 7 policemen were killed. They didn't know the environment. They didn't speak the language. They couldn't. They were just dropped in overnight and asked to police. And they were cornered somewhere they do not know. 7 killed, And we look at it and say, look, suppose there is community police here, people who relate with the people in the community, who knows the nooks and crannies of that community, and they are the one giving the assignment to police that community. It will not be easy to kill them in such a brutal manner. So I think the government is now looking at it. It is better that we begin to look at community police, and so that it can be effective and more efficient. When you bring somebody from Sokoto to go to Bayelsa to go and do policing, the Sokoto man does not speak the language. He doesn't understand the culture. He didn't know the history of the place, the history of crime, criminality, and all that in that place. He's a stranger. He will have to spend 2, 3, 4 years before he can understand the terrain. But if you have policemen, recruited, trained, and working actively in that community, they know the place like the palm of their hand. They know everybody in that environment. So these are the options the federal government is looking at to cover all of this criminality in our society.
All right. So looking at you, your political career has spanned for a long time. We're looking at more than 8, 9 years now. We're not in the political arena. Way beyond that. Yes, sir. So now we want to know: is there you get any other plans beyond? We know 2017 don't end. It has come to an end and gone.
Yes.
So
and 2019 looks very promising.
Yeah. So as a political,
more promising for me is 2018.
So exact 2018.
Yes, I'll be running for the governorship of my state come next year. The primary of our party comes off in April. By July 14, the governorship election will take place. I'm intervening in what is happening in Ekiti State. I know you must have. We are notorious for the loud mouth of our governor. So we are not comfortable with what is happening there. The place is stagnant, no development there, and the way the governor carries himself, it's an embarrassment to all of us.
What are you bringing to the table?
That is quite different. That is not already on the table.
Exactly.
Realistic.
Exactly what we've just talked about. That in an environment where there is no income, where there is no productivity, you don't begin to live a big life. You don't begin to live like as if you are the MD of Google or Apple Computer. Look, in Ekiti State, all we have civil service, teaching profession. You can't find a company employing 50 persons at a time. You can't even find a company as big as this Wazobia station in Ekiti State. So why then should a governor live big? You have to reduce the cost of governance, first of all. Then you have to engage, the energy of young people. 80% of young people in Ekiti State are not engaged in any way. And how do you readily engage them? I've told everybody who care to listen. If you ask me today, if I become governor, what will be your priority? As agriculture. We have vast arable land. Our land is fertile. There's hardly anything that cannot grow in Ekiti State. In parts of Ekiti State, we have the belts that are for growing plantain and banana. We have cocoa belt. We have palm tree. We have cassava. We have local rice and everything. If we leverage on that, I'm not saying that young people should go to the farm to use cutlasses and hoes. But if you equip them with modern farming equipment, and make land available and make funds available, resources available, you bring in investors to come and invest in land, and then you benefit from the anchor borrower program of the federal government. Within a short period of time, we can turn all available land in Ekiti State to farming that will then absorb young people, and then you get, private sector to come and invest in agro-allied industries. People are employed and everybody is happy. First, nobody will go to bed hungry. Then people are employed. You are generating wealth. So what we have said is that education is not enough. We should go back to a situation whereby education will not be an end, but it means to an end. When you are educated, and you are not enterprising, you are bound to be poor. But when you have knowledge and you marry it with enterprise, then you will create wealth, and that wealth will entail uninsured development.
Perfect one. Thank you so much, Senator Babafemi Ojodu. Will be the special advisor to the President Muhammadu Buhari on political matters. Very nice conversation. We'll
Thank you very much.
Today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we look forward to 2018.
Yes.
Look forward to bringing you on the couch.
I wish you could give me one of these to put on my head.
Definitely, we'll give you one of that.
Okay.
This is one for you.
This is one for me.
Yes,
Let's see how it looks.
Turn it the other way.
The other way, you see.
Sir.
So I'm old school a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you very
My pleasure.
All right, we're going to do a small break now. Very nice conversation. If you actually miss some, just head over to our YouTube channel at Wazobia TV and it will be there for you to view. Make we pass small break, and when we come back after the break, more things to go on the Good Morning Nigeria show. Stay with us. Good Morning
Nigeria. To enjoy more of these our Ogonge videos when you just watch, press this button to subscribe on top of our YouTube page. You go love her.